The Nerd and Tie podcast is unsurprisingly a part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network. For more shows from actual play to true crime to, witchcraft, go to nerdandtie.com or join our Discord by finding an invite at nerdandtie.com/discord. Did you know you could sponsor Nerd and Tie? That's right. For just $20, we'd say your name here. We'd give you a high five. Probably not an actual high five, but we'd really think hard about it. Just go to nerdandtie.com and click on the sponsor information for more information. Also, you can contribute to our legal fund by going to gofundme.com/nerdandtie. This month on Nerd and Tie, Russell T. Davies is coming back to Doctor Who. Disney is suing to keep the rights to Spider-Man and, other characters who aren't as valuable as Spider-Man. Netflix has released a Cowboy Bebop opening for the live-action series. I have thoughts about Shang Chi. And Wizards of the Coast announces a new revision of Dungeons & Dragons. It's exciting. Oh, welcome to Nerd and Tie, the only podcast on the internet with a dress code. I am one of your hosts, Stray Dorn. And joining me, as always, are the splendid Gen Proc.
What up?
And the wondiferous Nick Izumi.
Word up.
And
it's the code word.
Word.
That's a good code word.
Apparently. I don't have code word clearance. I apparently can't be here. I'm sorry. I'll just go. I'll just step out.
It was the code word Cameo came up with. It's not my fault.
All right. It's been a month.
We are having a time.
It's been a month, and the world did not stop much to how much I asked it to. And I guess there are things we should talk about. I mean, I guess this is a podcast where we talk about things that happened.
We're supposed to do that, yeah.
So speaking of things that happened,
yeah.
Russell T. Davies is coming back to Doctor Who in 2023 for the 60th anniversary.
I'm like jazzed, but also conflicted.
I mean, so for those who didn't know, Chris Chibnall was already announced his exit for 2023, and Jodie Whittaker's also leaving the series, which will mean that Chibnall was the one Doctor showrunner, which is the first out of for a while. It's the first in the revival series. It's so Chibnall's and so Russell T. Davies will be coming back for the show's 60th anniversary, and I think it's good.
I'm okay. So I've made it no real secret on this show that I preferred when RTD was showrunner for a lot of reasons. The thing that I'm conflicted about, and the thing that has me weird about it, is I really think overall Davies was of the current era showrunners, he's been the best at making a cohesive season-long storyline.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't keep setting weird things up that he's never going to pay off. He understands show running, I think, better than the others. What I think the two things eating at me are, one, it's a bummer that after our run with Jodie Whittaker, where there were so many annoying chuds talking about how, the show's lost something, that it feels like even BBC is like, we better bring back the showrunner that people actually liked. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of chuds are going to feel validated for no good reason, and I'm always bummed out about that. And I don't know. Actually, really, that is my only thing. It just feels like I feel like there's a lot of chuds who are going to feel validated, and that sucks. But at the same time, I think Russell T. Davies has a good understanding of what makes Doctor Who good. And I look forward to seeing his version of the story again.
These are the same chuds that hated Russell T Davies when he was showrunner.
That's true.
So it's, I mean, this
Except
is
for the young ones that don't realize how controversial Russell T Davies was at the time.
I know.
Which
yeah,
is
it's pretty funny.
which is kind of hard to believe nowadays, but that was a thing at one point.
Oh yeah, no, it's Russell T Davies being, you know, a pretty openly queer showrunner was very much detested by the very people who are applauding his return in some cases. It's, you know, stuff. I don't know. It's I agree with you that Russell T Davies is excellent at running. Like when he does a season-long arc, there are clues and then there's an actual payoff. Like
Yeah.
there's build and payoff, which like Moffat never could do. Chibnall just I don't feel like has really tried. So I think it's why Chibnall's been fine. Like I've enjoyed Jodie Whittaker's run so far. Like obviously, like I think that retconning the like the Doctor's origins is controversial, and I don't know if it was necessary, and I don't know how much I actually super like it. You know, I will admit that is a little bit of a sticking point for me, but I've still enjoyed the series overall.
It to me it felt like a it felt like a pre-turf J.K. Rowling thing of we actually did have a black woman doctor, just it
that
was
part
before all the ones that you saw.
that part
bothered me
didn't
a
bother
lot.
me so much. That part, like the
That
idea that the Doctor had previous regenerations and that like had the memory wiped, that
in
didn't bother
itself
me.
doesn't bother me. It bothered me that like, oh, we have this black woman character, we're gonna do very little with her. That bummed me out. That's what was a sticking point.
Well, it's my thought was that they don't have to be done with her. You know what I mean? Like
That's true.
It's the permanent change to the Doctor's history is in relationship to the Time Lords. I don't want to spoil it in case someone hasn't caught up. That felt a little. I mean, like I can roll with it. Like it wasn't enough for me to go like nope. Like I don't want but I was just like I didn't really want this. Okay, we'll see where it goes.
Classic series is pardon me. Classic series, his relationship with the Time Lords varies drastically depending on what era you're in. So I guess I've become so used to just rolling my eyes at it that I'm like I'm still kind of rolling my eyes at it.
Yeah.
That's not a good or a bad thing. It's just it's a thing.
And we have let's remember we're talking about Davies coming back. We have a whole series of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor to watch still.
This is true.
With
It kind of
running the show.
It's kind of a bummer that I think that's actually the real bummer in the room is people are making such a big deal out of Russell T Davies in the 60th that it's like, can we let's enjoy Jodie while we still have her.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah, it's so, you know. I don't know. Again, do you have any thoughts about Doctor Who?
Not really. I'm cautiously optimistic because Eccleston is my doctor.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed his series, so hopefully we can get more stories like that.
Yeah.
Word.
Well, I mean, you know, it's gonna be a while till we learn who the new Doctor's gonna be after Jodie. So.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know what to think right now, just because everything's so up in the air still.
Get ready for the after Jodie Whittaker's midway through Jodie Whittaker's series. Expect to hear all of your American friends list off the only 3 British actors they know as their suggestions for the next Doctor.
I think Idris Elba would be a great Doctor. I mean, never mind that it would be a massive pay cut for him and way less.
Bindi Book Humperdinck. Benedict Cumberbatch.
I think Martin Freeman. What other dull white guys can we come up with?
Let's see. No. That guy's already dead. No, that doesn't have to stop me. We gotta get dead Christopher Lee. I feel like that would work. He's
Just his corpse.
yeah.
I
That
think
way he can at the very least settle his score with his old buddy Peter Cushing, so Cushing doesn't have that hanging over him. Just saying.
Peter.
I mean, he
Cushing.
did voice a monster, but still.
Oh dear. All right, so I don't think we have any much more to say on the Doctor Who thing, other
Nope.
than this is a thing that's happening, and we're all living through it, and it might be good. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. That's cautiously optimistic is what I say. But with anything with that, it's just fan backlash. That's always going to happen because the secret is with Doctor Who is that the fan base is so large and ranges so many ages, literally any decision will piss off somebody.
Yep.
It will. And they will complain on the internet and blame the SJWs. All right.
And literally every doctor is someone's gold standard that no one will be better than.
One day you see someone defending Colin Baker on the internet, and
we have seen someone defending Colin Baker on the internet. I've seen you interact with them.
Look, Colin Baker is a lovely man. Colin Baker is a lovely man. His version of the Doctor I do not like, nor do most people with eyes, including Colin Baker. Again, remember, my favorite Colin Baker quote was, "On the upside, I was on the inside looking out, so I didn't have to see it." All right? Let's just remember, Colin Baker said that about Colin Baker's Doctor. Anyways, I don't have a good segue, so we're going to move on to the next story, and that is Disney filing lawsuits to try to hold on to, like, Spider-Man and stuff. Disney is headed to court in an attempt to retain full control of Marvel stuff. The studio filed a bunch of lawsuits against the heirs of a bunch of writers and artists who are seeking to reclaim the copyrights to characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Black Widow, Captain Marvel. You know, the stuff that pays the monies. The suits, Marvel filed the suits, but it's really Disney filed the suits because Disney owns Marvel. Come in response to copyright termination notices filed earlier this year seeking to return the rights to Marvel's characters to the authors who actually created them. Because under U.S. copyright law, authors or their heirs may reclaim rights from publishers after a certain number of years. If those, like,
if the people holding the rights aren't a mega corporation that literally killed reasonable copyright law so that they could continue to control a mouse.
So effectively, if the heirs and the authors of the heirs, if they reclaim the rights from Marvel and Disney, Marvel and Disney can keep using the characters, but they have to share ownership and profits with the creators' heirs. And Marvel does not want to share the monies.
And once again, we've got Spider-Man makes people do the dumbest crap. Like, not Spider-Man directly, but fandom of Spider-Man seems like it makes internet people just jump up to do free lobbying work so Disney's lawyers don't have to, basically so someone else with the legal right to Spider-Man gets screwed over. This is the second time I've seen this happen, and it's driving me nuts.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry. This just grumps me out. The original creators got screwed over so hard by the comic book publishers in the first place. At least give their descendants a cut of the thing their relative created.
And before any of you jump into the thing, just all freaked out about whether or not you get your content from the Disney machine, remember that Disney will still be able to make movies and stuff with these characters if they lose, and these estates, get the rights back to their characters. They just are going to have to share some of the money.
The unreasonable amounts of money that all of these movies make.
The literal billions of dollars.
Yeah, nothing's gonna happen to your character, to the characters.
Yeah.
It's just people getting paid what they should be.
Yeah.
God forbid we're gonna pay the artist.
And honestly, like I've
But
seen
they got the exposure.
I've seen people arguing for Disney in this, and I'm just like, guys, it's a bad thing that one company owns so much of our pop culture now.
Yeah.
And we're saying that as people who enjoy consuming it.
I gave them my money in the last week.
Like, how many of you have actually won Monopoly? Like,
I'm going to go see Venom this weekend. I mean, I guess that's technically a Sony movie, but Marvel's getting a cut.
Mm-hmm.
I went and saw Shang Chi. We're going to talk about it later this episode.
I literally have spent the last 2 nights watching Star Wars cartoons on Disney Plus. Like, I get it. But also, I don't want Disney to literally own every frickin' thing. It is not going to kill them to have to pay the artist or the descendants of the artist to use Spider-Man or Black Widow or Iron Man or whoever else they should be paying for in the first place.
Yeah, not to be confused with Disney's The Descendants.
which no one should be paying for, frankly. But that's neither here nor there. I like musicals too, but I'm judging you. You personally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Steve. What are you doing, Steve?
Yes, Steve.
Steve, that's right, Steve. We're talking about you and only you. In fact, Steve, you're the only person listening to this podcast. We recorded it specially for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not going to be on anyone else's podcatcher.
Everyone else got a different version.
Yep.
Where we talked about egg salad sandwiches for 2 minutes for some reason.
Super weird.
Everyone else got the super weird podcast except for you, Steve.
You better enjoy this, Steve.
We worked really hard on this, Steve. Anyways, yeah, it's lawsuits and stuff, man. Yeah, the estates seeking the termination of the copyright for try to get their copyright back are the Steve Ditko estate, Don Heck, Don Rico, Gene Colan, and Larry Lieber. Larry Lieber, co-creator of Iron Man, and also the younger brother of Stan Lee. And they're all being represented by intellectual property lawyer Mark Toberoff, who previously represented Kirby and Siegel and Schuster. So Jack Kirby, Jerry Siegel, and Joe Shuster in similar cases. They're heirs, not the actual
I'm going to be honest with you guys. You know what is the only thing that I think was an objectively good, no one can argue that it was bad thing in Batman v Superman? The only thing? It's that the opening credits say Batman character created by Bill Finger. That made me smile.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie, not so much, but that made me smile.
It is nice that Bill Finger's finally getting credit for stuff, and that Bob Kane can suck a lemon.
Yeah, get that guy. And I just, as someone who loves these characters, I want the people who created them to get credit. It ticks me off. It ticks me off knowing that Ed Brubaker got paid more for that little cameo he did in Winter Soldier than for all of his years writing some of the best Captain America books ever. Like that's wrong. That's really wrong. It's gross. I don't just stop simping Disney, you guys. Jeez.
Anyways.
I'm a
All right.
terrible person.
You are not.
You're
We're just
not.
moving on.
We're just moving on to the next thing. You saw that, credit in the opening of Batman v Superman, Nick, but let's talk about a different opening credits.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah. Put two wheels on me and a gyroscope because that was a segue. All right. Netflix, of course, it has the live action Cowboy Bebop series, which is going to be released later this year, the first season of it, and they have released the opening sequence. And it's the opening sequence to Cowboy Bebop for certain. They wow, that is
It's so cool, you guys.
they're using Tank. I think it might be a new recording of Tank, but I'm not sure.
I mean, they're definitely like calling out like previous episodes of Bebop and being and definitely showing like we know the story, we know all the things, we know the background, like hey, look at this, we know the stories.
Like,
and it's like yes, good, we love that.
yeah, it's so delightful. Like parts of it are exact recreations of the Cowboy Bebop opening, just with live action actors. Some of it are like what appears to be like I'm assuming that like they're clips. I'm assuming they're clips from the actual season, but they're clear recreations of scenes from the original series.
Yeah.
Adrian Barbeau is the eco-terrorist from the Ein episode? Okay.
Yeah, it's
sure, that's fun.
Yeah, and so it's it's a Cowboy Bebop opening. No Ed because we don't
No
have an Ed.
Ed.
We're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna have an Ed this season.
I'm gonna guess season 1 we won't get an Ed, but
well, Ed
season
doesn't
2
show
maybe.
up until like pretty late in season 1 to begin with. So, I completely understand them delaying that, but it is like Ein's in the opening. Just because Ed was in the opening thing in the original series from the beginning. It was like my brain going like, and then there's not an Ed yet. Like, oh man,
Where Ed? When Ed? It's
Some
like Ed will come.
I will say
Ed is come.
some of the shots were a little strange to be recreated with John Cho's body. Like,
yeah.
like some of the shots.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, a bunch of like the scenes that were taken directly from the anime were definitely just like, okay, I see what you were going for.
Well,
I understand, but it's weird.
There's like a couple of shots in like the opening of the original opening thing, which are just like Spike flailing, and they recreated that sort of with John Cho.
Oh yeah, when he's like jump kicking,
and it doesn't quite work.
It was like you guys got me on board. I'm a little worried, but I'm here. I'm for the ride.
It's just
the swordfish looks amazing. Spike's little ship looks really good though.
And I think they're doing a really, really good job. I'm honestly really excited for it. I saw a promo shot of Spike on a planet, and he's like walking through this outdoor cafe area. And of course, there at a side table are those three old guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
They're wearing the
old guys. I'm gonna send it to you. It's like a promo shot, but yes, like they are doing a wonderful job of just like picking up all the little details. Like I love like some of the choices they made in casting some of the extra characters from certain episodes and I'm just like sitting there like, oh, I remember that episode. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I think honestly, the only thing that has me hesitant about the show at all is not that I think it's going to be bad, but that like I'm going to watch episodes and be like, I know everything that's going to happen in this episode because I watched this episode.
Well, I thought it wasn't going to be like a recreation.
That's
I
what
thought
I
it was
thought
going to be
too.
like
Yeah.
just a continuation of the story of like these people kind of in between the actual episodes of Anime Bebop.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't.
No?
It was always going to be a remake. Like it's telling the story
Oh.
from scratch. It's just that like there was so much of like that I literally recognized every shot.
Yeah.
Like it was more so that I was not surprised by anything. And that's
Yeah.
fine. Like it's like I expect the vicious in the church, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
Like,
Ballad
and-
of Fallen Angels is one of the best episodes.
and, like,
You'd be nuts not to recreate that.
And the guy and his girlfriend from the Red Eye episode, like the first episode, that I expected. I just and this is not like a negative thing about the show. Like, and who knows what else? Like maybe some of these are going to be compressed versions, and then I'm just more interested in the non-direct remake stuff that they're going to be doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, exactly.
It's
like,
some original storylines.
Because I have the original Bebop.
Exactly. It'll be a wonderful like nostalgia trip to see those original episodes redone. But I think I'm more excited for like the new stuff as well.
Yeah.
I'll be happy if we get a nice like mixture, like some brand new stuff, some weird original stuff, some showing off some understanding of the material, and maybe taking it in some new directions.
Well, the episodes will be longer, so no matter what, they're gonna have to be more stuff in the episodes. Because Cowboy Bebop is like 22-minute episodes, the original series.
It is, and in many ways, Cowboy Bebop is like a film student's guide to economical storytelling. Because most of the episodes, with an exception for two-parters, are standalone. Short films. So yeah, I really do hope that they use that extra time to make the world feel a little bit more lived in and give us just more of that goodness.
Well, and probably build out the arc with Vicious.
Yeah.
Instead of him just like showing up in episode 5?
Yeah, he
just
shows
like,
up in episode 5.
I just couldn't remember
hey,
if it was
I'm a
episode
bad
4
dude.
or 5. Yeah. And I can get lost in the rain, whatever. Now that song's going through my head. Great. That's the one thing about Cowboy Bebop is the music
is
amazing. And Nakano's coming back, so
honestly, one of her best soundtracks. And this is like, I'm saying this about a woman with an amazing resume, and this is still one of her best soundtracks. Like, so good.
Well, it's arguably one of the best soundtracks to a television series ever made out of any country.
100%. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. I want to say optimistic. This does look like its heart is in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it. I kind of wish I hadn't just done a full rewatch of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah.
Well, Krista hadn't seen it, so we did
Yep.
this last year I showed Krista the series for the first time. She hasn't seen the movie yet, but that takes place between episodes, so it's not like she's.
It's not like you're really
plot.
missing anything with the movie.
It's
just a long Bebop
yeah,
episode.
It's just a long Bebop episode.
That's all it is.
It's a good long Bebop episode, but
Oh yeah, I love the movie.
But because it's placed like between episodes of the series, it doesn't like change. Like it's not like you see what happens next to anybody. You know what I mean? Like you see what was happening between adventures. Or it was all a butterfly's dream. Whatever. Moving on. It wasn't a butterfly's dream, and that is the movie Shang Chi, which happened.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things about it.
I like the part where the guy wears the shirt and the girl also wears
Just
a
say
shirt.
you haven't seen it.
I also
okay.
haven't seen it.
It's
right?
okay.
It's so overall, this is the spoiler-free review of Shang Chi from Nerd and Tie. It's good. So I should say more than that. So it's a solid origin story for a superhero. You know, the performances are good. The martial arts for the first time in the MCU are actually solid. I'm looking at you, Iron Fist.
Yeah, it's funny what happens when the actor actually cares about what the stunt coordinator is putting together and learns their choreography.
Yeah, because I shouldn't be too hard on Iron Fist. When it's the stuntman doing the kung fu, it's decent in Iron Fist. So if you don't see Danny's face, but Shang-Chi was actually it was actually really solid. Nice surprise tie-ins to Iron Man continuity, Iron Man 3 especially, considering we get to see. There's a reason why that one Marvel one-shot ended up going up on Disney Plus.
Okay. I kind of figured. I think they kind of announced that leading up to the movie. I felt like it anyway.
Yeah, because Ben Kingsley returns as Trevor.
Excellent. The best Iron Man character, really.
Yeah, as we do meet the he's never called the Mandarin in the series. But he's never called the Mandarin in the movie, but the real Mandarin appears in this film.
I've mentioned before I'm a big fan of Simu Liu already. I just recently became aware of Aquafina. Wow, was I missing out, because her rap is hilarious. Very good beats, very good lyrics, but also she's just funny as hell. So I kind of became a fan of her in the last week. So I'm excited to see her in one of these things.
Yeah, so they renamed okay, so they did some combination of characters in this movie, right? So the Mandarin, instead of the Mandarin and Fu Manchu, there is one character who is Zhu Wenwu. I'm saying it wrong. I am very bad at pronouncing Chinese names, and they hardly call him by name in the movie. Because Shang-Chi's father in the comics is Fu Manchu.
Oh God. Oh, that has not aged well. Ooh.
No, it was bad. And so they combined Fu Manchu with the comic book Mandarin, those two characters, into one of Zhu Wenwu as Shang-Chi's father and head of the Ten Rings.
Okay.
Yeah. And who, of course, it's
I mean, the MCU does that a lot. I mean, even back in Iron Man 2, they essentially took Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo and made them into one guy.
Yeah. Oh, and it very much works. I don't want to spoil too much, but there is Razor Fist does show up. I just thought you might want to know that.
Oh, thank God. Ooh. Okay, movie saved, frankly. Oh, I was worried.
He's only got one blade hand.
I'm still gonna take it.
He does have a card that says Razor Fist in giant letters on the side.
Classy.
Yeah. But it's I don't know, it's decent. Yeah, it's a fun movie. like I don't like this is the worst review I've ever given. Like the movie's good, but my review of it is terrible because I'm trying to come up with ways to describe a film that is the acting was good. The writing was not terrible. Aquafina was tolerable despite her possible racist past of using a black scent in her stand-up comedy.
That is fair. That's a legitimate critique of her.
Yeah. And she needs to apologize.
She does.
I'm just reverting into Cat.
I can like her stuff and still acknowledge that she needs to apologize for shit.
Yeah, she does. Not to us, though, because we're a bunch of white people.
Don't apologize to me, especially. Yeah. Especially not to me.
Yeah, so, you know, but you get a nice appearance from Wong.
Okay, that actually I am really excited about. Like, I'm not even being
it's
sarcastic.
Pretty brief,
I like Wong a lot.
It's just a short appearance from Wong. Yeah, you see, the problem is that, like, so here's the thing about Shang-Chi. I have never read a Shang-Chi comic in my freaking life. So I don't know, like I have understanding, like vague understandings of, like, you know, who, like, because, like, the Mandarin's typically an Iron Man villain, and, like, also I don't know crap about Shang-Chi. So I saw the movie, I enjoyed the movie. It was all new for me. Like,
if it makes you feel any better, Trey, the one person who has really read those Shang-Chi comics, I think he'll go easy on you.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, so it's...
God, I hope so.
It's like, I can't compare, like, I'm checking Wikipedia to see that, apparent, like, who out of these characters is new and who's not? Like, I don't know.
I apologize to all 3 Shang-Chi fans for underselling your numbers. That was mean of me.
Like, I don't know if certain characters are original to the movie or certain characters pre-exist. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's a movie. This is like, all right, guys, let's go
to anything else. This is bad.
Anything else? Anything else? The movie is great. Go see it. It's a Marvel film. So the creators aren't getting paid, but we at least are now pronouncing Shang-Chi correctly as a society, because everybody knows that even the people who created the character are probably saying Shang-Chi this whole time.
It's sad because it's true.
I would like to apologize to our listeners for my inability to review a movie. I mean, you should know by now that I'm bad at it, but, you know, actually, no, I'm usually pretty good at reviewing movies. The problem is that I didn't have any, like, criticisms, and don't know enough about the source material to talk about how it compares to the source material. Speaking of source materials, Wizards of the Coast has announced that they are releasing new core rule books for Dungeons & Dragons 50th anniversary in 2024. Now, some people are calling this a new edition. It's not. It's still 5th edition, y'all, but we're getting 5th edition revised.
Heck yeah!
So yeah, they're coming out with new core books. Likely just a player's handbook, monster manual, and dungeon master's guide that will be fully compatible with 5th edition D&D products. So this is effectively what they're doing is they're going to be rejiggering some math on, like, some of the monster class, you know, monsters and things like that, but effectively just, like, some characters might get modified stats. They're going to include probably in the monster manual some, like, monsters that came out after the 5th edition monster manual.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 2024 is going to be the 10th anniversary of 5th edition, but it's also, again, going to be the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons, period. For those of you who are young and not an ancient like me, this is not coming out with a new version of an existing edition is literally something that has been done before with second edition, where we had second edition revised, where it was all compatible, but they rewrote the books to not suck as much. That is exactly what we're seeing here, because 5th edition has been wildly successful. It is true that, like, the fact is that this does mean that we should be seeing at least another 5 years extended onto the lifespan of 5th edition, in my mind, which means that, because hitting 10 years, that's already, like, first, because 5th edition is, we have to remember, for those of you who don't recall, 5th edition speaks to, it's in the lineage of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, because they used to have a separate Dungeons & Dragons product from, and then Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which then got a second edition, and then with 3rd edition of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, they dropped, like, old regular D&D and just retitled
I still haven't
AD&D
played 5th edition.
Neither have I. But like, so with 3rd edition, they just dropped the advanced from the title of the product line. So, but like first ed of AD&D lasted for about a decade. Second ed lasted for about a decade, but that includes the revised version. But then like we've had 3, 3.5, 4, and 5 like all came out, and like 4, like how long was 4th edition? Like the current edition of D&D? Like
too long. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Fourth was bad.
I did 4th didn't last that long because it was bad.
I did play some 4th, and I did not care for it.
Yeah, it 4th edition came out in like 2007, and like at first, and then like ended in 2013.
Yeah, I was lucky that I went from 3.5 straight to 5.
That's what a lot of people did.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
4th edition.
I was just going to say, my friends were big 3.5 players. We tried 4th, did not care for it. Went back to 3.5, and when we needed to spice things up, we played Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Like that.
So like I'm expecting this to be more of like the revised edition for second ed than like, because like 3.5 is notable because they reworked major parts of the rules. You know what I mean? Like, the 3rd edition like supplementary materials are somewhat compatible with 3.5. Like, they are compatible, but not fully compatible. Like, you always have to make like rule changes with when stuff conflicts. You know what I mean? So that's why 3.5 gets like called like a whole half edition, like more. This is based on everything that Wizards has been saying. This is going to be much more like revised, where they are just combining stuff into a simpler. Like, first off, it means you have to buy fewer books if you're new and starting out. Also, they've announced that they're coming out with more classic settings that are coming out. Because obviously, like we've got later this year's. The first of these was this year's the Ravenloft stuff that just came out.
Nice.
And so they're going to be doing more of that stuff. And Wizards is not going to move on from 5th edition anytime soon because they are selling so much of it. They also have announced that they're going to be doing like some digital products, like digital tools for D&D, which like this, that's not. They're coming for Roll. They're coming for Roll20. That's really what it is. They want their own. They want to own the online tools, so they're coming out with their own. And so
I shouldn't laugh, but it's true.
They are really like putting down hard. Like, Wizards is committing pretty hard to 5th edition, which is nice, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good addition. At least,
yeah. Well,
I'm okay with it.
But also, like, I got sick of it. Like, I last played a 3.5 game. That is the last versions of D&D I played, and I think 4th edition was already out. I was playing in a 3.5 game. And that was when I learned 3.5, because I was a second ed player, man. It's like, where's my THAC0? No one misses Thaco. Literally nobody.
I was about to say, you're joking. No actual human misses Thaco. I refuse to believe it.
I honestly don't even remember how Thaco even works. If you like put a gun to my head, I'd be like pulling out my player's guide, going like whatever. Because I have both. I have the second ed player's handbook. That's all I ever. Because I never ran second ed. I only played it. And then I actually do own the revised manuals. I have all the revised main books on CD-ROM.
Oh my god!
Heck yeah!
Because I have the core rules CD-ROM disc somewhere in a box, which has got the player's guide, the DM's guide, the monster manual, and then like some like map building tools that work with Windows 95, and like stuff like that.
And for the youngins in the audience who don't know what Thaco is, exactly. Sorry, I just wanted to bounce back
Armor
to that.
Class 0.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Armor Class works in reverse in second ed, okay?
You're at second ed.
All right.
Trey, you want to feel old? I have a copy of the second ed player's handbook that I found at an antique store.
Which is it? The black cover with the, or is it the one with the knight?
It's got a big demon on it, a big red guy.
Oh, a dragon.
I think I don't have
That's
it in front of me.
revised.
I'd have to run upstairs.
That's probably revised.
It might be that. It might be the revised. It also came with 2 modules, like little paper, like pamphlets almost, of like modules. I haven't. I need to go back and look at it again. I was just like, oh, this is neat. I used to play this when I was real little.
Yeah,
we have a retro.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say because the Player's Handbook first edition, the first version of the second ed Player's Handbook has got like a knight with a sword on a horse charging towards the person with another guy behind him. The revised Player's Handbook has like a barbarian with an axe on the cover.
What am I doing? I can look this up as well.
I just got a kick out of, I found a complete second edition box, mostly complete second edition box at a Goodwill, and we picked it up just before the second season of Stranger Things aired, and it was hilarious because it's the poster that was included in it is the same one the kids have on their wall in the in the episode. I'm like, dear God, I have the original one of those.
You know, Yen, are you still here?
Yeah, but it's bugging me, so I might run upstairs.
Is it like a fat demon?
I gotta run up. Oh,
okay. Because it could be the AD&D Player's Handbook, the first edition Player's Handbook.
Yeah, it might be. Let me run up and look.
I think of the first edition handbook.
Yeah.
This game is awesome. So, while we're kind of sidetracked by that, like full honesty to you guys, I know this is probably something that you don't need told to you if you're already listening to this show, but if for some reason you've been thinking to yourself, should I try tabletop role-playing? Yes, you should. Give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. It's super worth your time. I love doing it. A bunch of my friends love doing it. It's just a fun way to sit around and do make-believe, but with rules.
Yeah, I prefer Super Awesome Action Heroes, though.
Super Awesome Action Heroes is very good. It's
because it's less rules.
It's less rules. It's true.
For those of you who don't know, Super Awesome Action Heroes is the game system we use on Stormwood and Associates and on the Meat Grinder. But I created it because I didn't want to put up with all the rules of running a D&D campaign.
I have returned. It is Advanced D&D Dungeon Master's Guide.
Oh, the Dungeon Master's Guide.
So I was wrong.
Oh, you know what that means, Gen. You're gonna have to hang out with that weird demon.
Yeah,
and
1979.
he's kind of a pain in the butt. He likes pizza rolls.
Oh yeah, if it's 1979, that's First Ed. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't have that. I've never played First Ed.
I don't remember
cooler,
if we played first or second at my first D&D game. I'll have to ask my dad because I was 10.
Well,
and I don't remember.
When you were 10, the current version would be Second Ed, and Second Ed would have been around for like almost a decade.
I mean, that would make sense. I don't we didn't have any books. I don't remember any books.
Okay.
Or if we did, there was like one that we all shared.
There are many.
And I just made a character based off of a Baldur's Gate NPC.
There is a long tradition back in the day where you would have like one set of books and everyone would just pass the book around to make their characters.
Yep.
Like I played a ton of vampire in high school. I never owned any of the vampire books. You know.
But I'll have to ask my dad if he remembers if we played first or second.
See, in my friend circle, that was the forever DM was the kid whose dad also played D&D, so he had all the books, and the rest of us didn't own books. Yeah. We just looked at his books because we were a bunch of broke Janesville kids.
Yeah. No, but that's why, like, it was like if someone did have, if like in Second Ed, if someone did have a book, they probably had the player's guide, and then, because if you were going to if you weren't going to DM and you were going to have one book, that would be the book to have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I remember us having, because I played a lot of 3.5 in high school, and we actually had the triple of the PHB Monster Manual and the DMG.
Very good.
And I just loved flipping through the Monster Manual and looking at all the art. That's what I did a lot.
Yeah, and I of course over the years ended up with like lots of random role playing game stuff that I never had, that I never actually used. Like I used to have this game Conspiracy X, that was, I never played it, but it's because like I kept I worked Gen Con, and I kept getting stuff for free. Of like all these random games, like, and like I'd occasionally like win stuff, like this old like DC comic book role playing game system and like a couple of expansion books for it, and like do I even have I think I still have some of that. Like
I think the most obscure, like one of the most obscure games I have is a mini Clicks game called Mech Wars.
Okay.
And
sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was a big old franchisey thing, but like I have all the minifigs. I have like all the little like, because to play that game, like you had to make your own like terrain on the table. So I remember like when my sister and I would play against each other, we'd grab like a coffee cup and that's like a tower there, and here's a paper towel roll and that's like a piece of land, and like all these like different weird things, and it's just random crap from around your house.
Yeah, was it like the Mech Warrior? Do you mean?
Possibly.
Because I know that they had a Mech Warrior Dark Age miniature set that I think used the click system.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah,
and my favorite robot has a minigun as a head. And her name is Jacqueline.
Yep, it's a because Mech Warrior is part of it's BattleTech, like, you know, so that whole FAFSA thing. It was like a mini clicks version of Mech Warrior of BattleTech.
Yeah. And my dad got into it and he got like all the stuff, and then he was like, "Hey kids, you want to learn this?" And we're like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah, I first got into Dungeons and Dragons in Boy Scouts.
Oh, cool.
Where on like this winter camping thing in a cabin, like all the older Boy Scouts of the troop were playing a D&D campaign.
Nice.
Yeah, And so that was my first real, like, my sister was into it before me, but that was my first real exposure, and then I never looked back.
I blame my dad because he's a huge freaking nerd.
Although it is true, I played way more Vampire as a teenager. I played way more. I've logged many more years of Vampire the Masquerade than I have in D&D, and I haven't played Vampire the Masquerade since the 90s.
I mean, fun story. I didn't realize how much of a nerd my dad was until I looked through his Commodore 64 collection of games, and about half of them are text adventure dungeon crawlers.
Nice.
And I'm just like, you really like this genre, don't you? And he's like, shut up.
So to tie us back to what we were actually talking about here, yeah,
Yes,
it looks like Wizards is committing pretty hard to 5th edition for a while. It makes sense with like the D&D has seen a pretty big rise in popularity in the last few years.
For sure.
Especially with like the rise of actual play shows. With things like Critical Role and, Not Another D&D Podcast and, like Dimension 20. Like
Hello from the Magic Tavern.
Yeah, the Adventure Zone.
Yep.
And, of course, we're not helping Let's Be Legendary.
Yeah.
The show on our network that I actually do listen to. Yeah.
And it's very good, and you all should listen to it as well.
And they have a new season premiering in October.
Ooh.
So you should listen to it. It's a good show. I listen to the show. Of course, we're not helping with the rest of our actual play shows because we're not using Dungeons & Dragons for that. We're using, Super Awesome Action Heroes.
Yeah. Which
we retain the rights to. I don't know. At some point, I'm going to have to come up with a Stormwood source book. So, yeah, no. I think that as we have lost Nick to technical difficulties, we should move on to the Vomit Hat Steve challenge.
Good idea.
I don't know if you can hear us, Nick. You feel just passing in the. Oh yeah, Of course, Nick's technical difficulties could be because Nick clicked the mute button on Skype.
You can see that.
Sure can.
Oh.
I don't know.
My thing was covering up the. No, there it goes again. Oh.
That apparently, since we can't hear Nick still, even though Nick unmuted themselves, and we still can't hear Nick, I'm going with Nick can hear us, as I am getting text messaging coming through. Yeah, you're unmuted. We know you're unmuted. Skype says, "Oh, we're just gonna move on to the Vomit Hat Steve challenge."
Yep,
if that's okay with you, Nick.
You could be flying through the ether.
We know that you're here with us in spirit.
Yep.
You are the ghost in the machine.
We'll do a seance to talk back to you later.
So, well, I mean, Nick can hear us saying that, so.
Yeah, but we can do a seance so they can talk back to us.
Very true. All right. So, moving on to the Vomit Hat Steve challenge. The Vomit Hat Steve challenge is a part of the show every episode where I read you a line from a book, and the challenge to you, the listener, is to guess what book it is. If you guess correctly, you get included in the Hall of Awesome. The members of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. Archimide Zero, Ren Anisenti, Cheesy McDamn, Krista, Slitheriti, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings Man, Corfan, Capito, Chris Graham, Lily Source, Paper Godzilla, Cavsy, The Minnesota Librarians, Sean Orange, Keith Shizuo, Sakura Sunset, Joel Kreisman, Patrick Delahanty, Wonderland Hearts, and Megsy Sass Council. What are the other benefits of being in the Hall of Awesome besides hearing your name said aloud there? Well, I put your name also on a webpage that we've hidden buried on the Nerd and Tie website, and nothing else. But
it's a secret.
Here is your line. Fun. What is it good for? If you know what book that's from, go to nerdandtie.com/contact, fill out the form, and tell us. Or if you have any other thoughts, dreams, hopes, if you have any random things you want to point out about the stuff we've talked about on this episode, just go and do that there too, because we do actually sometimes even do a letter segment here. It's just you guys haven't been writing us anything, and it makes us sad, and it makes Nick cry. And that's why.
Yeah, jerks.
Yeah, well, my God.
There we go. I don't know what happened. I just did a bunch of weird checks on my computer. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
Just in time to say that I've been Tradoran.
I will continue to be Nick Izumi.
I guess I'm Gen Proc.
And thanks for joining us for this yet again this month on the Nerd and Tie podcast. Remember, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, on Google Podcasts, on Spotify, on Stitcher, or any other place you can find a podcast feed, and just sort of go with it. Remember, you can follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at Nerd and Tie. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/Nerd and Tie, and we're on Tumblr at nerdandtie.tumblr.com. And you can support the show financially by sponsoring an episode, or by I'm on Patreon at patreon.com/TRAEGORN. Nick's on Patreon at patreon.com/NickIzumi. And Gen sells stuff on Etsy as Ocelot Do Design. And Gen, you've got some great pillows in the shop now, don't you?
Yeah, I just released some Mothman and Alien pillows for all your spooky buddy needs.
They're really cool, and they're very affordable. Or if you feel like spending a lot, the succulent pillows are amazing. But remember, in your hopes, in your dreams, in the places that you are at night, in the places that you hope to be at night, in the places at night that still exist even if you are not there, but the place is thinking about you, in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, there is a place for you here at Nerd and Tie, and that is a place saying, listen to the Meat Grinder, man. The first season's
really
complete and up there. It's 9 episodes, and we've recorded a whole second season that's going to start premiering next year with, besides the cast of the first season, the addition of Sean Orange of Famicom Dojo is joining the cast for season 2, and so look forward to that in 2022. And, I feel like I'm supposed to say something else here, but I plugged the social media. I talked about the Monies. I talked about another show on the network. Nick, what am I forgetting?
I think that we should tell everybody to keep on spocking in the free world.
I guess.
Except for Steve.
Yeah.
He knows what he did.
Yeah, Steve, you know what you did, Steve. Also, I'm on TikTok now.
So weird.
Look me up.
How? It's so weird.
I don't do any dances. I'm not on that side of TikTok. I'm on the normal side of TikTok, full of witches. I'm on the part of TikTok full of witches. It makes sense. Like and subscribe.